right, Maricruz, this is Abundance to Give Podcast 1.0. Take it away.
Well, I just want to say I'm super excited we're doing this. It's been 1 month and you literally put it together like that.
In a month. We started talking about this, just before Christmas? No. Or before December?
Something along those lines. Yeah, but I'm not even... The funny part about it is that I don't even know how this actually came about. You haven't told me what even made you decide to go through with this.
We kind of talked about things in general about we wanted, everybody has podcasts, right?
Right.
And there's millions of them out there. People talk about investing and working with people, realtors, like how to become successful, like all that stuff. But I didn't want to do just another podcast. And we talked about this randomly. And we said, hey, if we're going to do it, let's have a purpose behind it and make sure that whatever purpose that is, that we kind of use it as an abundance to give back, right? And help others. And then it's like, ding, abundance to give.
Yeah.
And I'd heard Jay Shetty talk about it. I'd heard others talk about it and use the term, but not really professionally.
Right.
Not put it in a title, not use it all over the place of this abundance to give. And so we said, hey, why not do a podcast whereby we interview super successful people, but with the purpose of not really talking about the success part, which is great. We'll get into that, but really diving a few layers deep,
right,
and talking about the passions and the things behind them as to why they have this abundance to give back, leave an impact, have a legacy on the world, and then have some fun with it.
Right.
And then we could run these cool, fun challenges and games towards the end as a mechanism for our guests to learn and to win donations and prizes and volunteers towards a charity of their choice. And kind of mimic in a way, Mr. Beast from YouTube. He's got like 89 million followers and he has this whole giving concept. Mark Rober, who my kids really love. Mr. Beast, who my kids really love. Jimmy Fallon, he runs those games with all the famous people at the end of his shows that are absolutely hilarious. And we said, why don't we use that concept on top of helping educate people and giving them success tips and clues and interviewing really successful people, but also understanding that they really want to talk about cooler things than just, hey, this is how I did it.
Yep. 100%.
This is how you can do it too. We really want to talk about, hey, like I give back to this. This is a cause for me. We give back to St. Jude Hospital or the Wounded Warriors or Tunnels to Towers or our daughter's foundation for this. We created this because my daughter, my son, my family member, my other person is struggling with this. And we have a passion behind this cause. And this is why. And we make a bunch of money. We create a lot of wealth, but for the abundance to give back and help with this cause and our passions and our lives.
Right.
And that is where it really came from.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes deeper than that. Let's let the audience know how we're actually connected. So obviously, no, we've got it. We got to give them the whole background.
Yeah.
So I came to you in February of 2021, coming from Berkshire Hathaway as a realtor, because that's what I do. And it's funny because you just kept popping up on my feed every single day. Facebook, Instagram. You were just on top of it. But the thing that I liked about you the most...
It's all his fault. Kevin, you should be mic'd up, by the way. You're kind of like our behind the scenes.
Oh, that's true. Give him a mic.
We need to put you on. We need to get you a mic. That's coming.
Yes. So I kept seeing you pop up on my feed, but what I liked the most was that I knew you were a real estate agent and investor, but you wouldn't just talk about, your typical today, this
market
is what the market. Oh my, just
3 homes have sold.
Yeah. Come to my open house. I sold this property. I did this. It wasn't just that. It was deeper meanings, daily routines, be grateful, super silly things. I'd see your stories and it was just sometimes inappropriate things that were hilarious. and when you're in real estate,
you gotta have an oddball sense of humor.
Yeah, you do. And in real estate, I think, I'm 2 years in now, but starting, it's kind of like you try to find your identity. You're like, what's appropriate, what's not, how do I want people to look at me as a professional? And so with you, it was just super easy going, very light. And so I ended up calling you or texting you for coffee, and we finally met up, and we just were having a conversation. I wasn't even thinking about switching brokerages, but you told me about EXP, great. But I also knew you were an investor. And so that was kind of part of the reason why I wanted to go with you. And also because you were just so, you asked me questions that people hadn't asked me before. And I thought that that was really important.
Yeah, kind of like, where you're at, what your passions are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, trying to identify, too many times, we fall into this pit of being a realtor in the realtor space, but without a bigger catalyst for kind of where you want to go.
Right.
And I've always said I never wanted to be a realtor only. I wanted to be a realtor investor.
Right.
And use my real estate license simply as a catalyst to go buy and invest and own rental income property myself. So that way I'm not sitting in the hamster wheel until the day I'm dead, helping buyers and sellers all the time, which is great. There's a love I have for that, but it's really to help grow wealth, accumulate abundance and all these other things. But then with this bigger picture of giving back and impacting the world and leaving a legacy. And that was kind of the main big picture. What is, I'm not trying to make all this money to make all this money.
Right.
Like that's all nice, but it's to make the money, to have the abundance, to have the choices to give back and help other people and leave an impact on the world. Like that is the biggest picture behind it, between causes and things that I care biggest about. So the same thing was with you. Like you wanted that as well. You just didn't know exactly how to take that next step.
Right.
And that's kind of what we had discussed. And you, same thing. You loved real estate, but it wasn't a passion for you because you weren't like you were having success with it, but not the success you wanted because you just didn't like it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't that you didn't like real estate. You just didn't like the retail side of it.
Yes.
Where you're just helping buyers and sellers solely without the investor side. With investment properties, rental income properties, building, selling, flipping, all the investment side of the real estate side, not simply just helping other people do it themselves and transact.
Right. Well, I got caught up in the, how do I market myself, my branding, my colors, how I want to be perceived. I got so caught up in that, and my also, what day and time to post and how to prospect, and do I want to do open houses? Do I not? Do I want to send mailers? Do I want to, send emails? And I just was getting it was just something that I don't know, I could not grasp. And it started to become a job instead of a passion.
Yep.
And so as I kept doing our Monday Zoom calls, it just more and more, I was like, okay, well, wait, why did I get into real estate in the first place? Like what was...
So you could be famous on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook.
Oh gosh.
A famous realtor.
Oh gosh. $1 million listing. But no, so I, as me and you kept speaking and I kept seeing, closing these huge deals in Texas and all these places, I started really thinking, okay, well, why did I get into it? And from the very beginning, even before I decided to become a real estate agent, and I was actually a leasing agent, property manager before that too, I always wanted to purchase a home and with my mom. Actually, I wanted to purchase a home with my mom before I moved to San Diego, rent hers out and, move into the nicer one. And so that was kind of where it started. I had forgotten about that. But then as, I moved here, I've always really been into, just different podcasts like with Grant Cardone, Lewis Howes. And so I felt like they always ended up talking about like money mindset and investing, and real estate would always come up. So, ever since I can remember, real estate was always the thing that I wanted to do, and becoming an investor. And so, it's just really nice that I finally found a mentor that I can actually speak with and learn from, and somebody that's actually practicing it like on a daily. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, that's how we kind of came about with this, is we said, hey, why not create something? Because we don't just want it to be normal, but create something where we can talk about topics like this for other realtors who want to be investors and make that transition and don't just be in the hamster wheel of the transaction all the time, but also interview other very successful entrepreneurs around the country and talk to them about that success, but not just the success and how they did it, right? But really the giving aspect behind it that really drives their passion.
Right.
Because it's usually always a few layers deep. Right. It's not just the, hey, I want to make all the money. Because that's a motivator in the beginning, but it's not a long-term motivator. Right. That gets you going, but it's not going to keep you going. Right. It's usually that passion behind it for that reason and that cause, like for a bigger purpose. That's why they're creating all that abundance and wealth. and then turning and pivoting and giving back and helping others.
Right. So then let's get deep, baby.
Let's get deep. Wait, hold on. We have sound effects here. That's the laughter. Yeah. We get corny.
Yes.
That's the applause. Hold on. This thing has all kinds of cool things. We have cheering.
Slapping.
Slapping is a good one. Ooh. But then when it gets awkward and we have a guest, we're like, yeah, it's going to be fun. All right. So that was a quick little intro into how we connected. And let's get into it.
Let me get deep with you.
Uh-oh.
So you said we're going to be diving into the deeper meaning into success. So I asked you the other day, I said, well, because again, it's funny because I didn't know at what level and what volume you invested in until, we kept speaking. And so then I started to get a little curious. And so I kind of started stalking your YouTube and your Instagram. And I was like, what's the deal with this guy? So I'm like, all right, he's got 2 beautiful babies. He's got the properties. He's got the success. He's got the business. And I asked you, what's driving you? What's motivating you? And yes, you said giving. But in my opinion, when I listen to all these different podcasts with people, it's either they come from, a poor childhood or like an abusive, relationship, or it always comes from maybe a place of hurt. Not everybody. Some people just are naturally givers and they just want to, that's just what they want to do. They want to give back because, why not? So what do you think it is that really sparks that giving?
Great question. For me, I'd always struggled with the money mindset because I'd seen money do really good things, right? Lots of money. I'd seen money do bad things. And so I'd struggled with it a bit on the abundance side, and it was kind of holding me back because I was limiting myself because of positive and negative things that I had attributed with money. So then I started asking myself, how can I break through? Right? Because you got to break through the ceiling to get to this mindset of abundance. And the mindset is part of that. And I was following Jay Shetty, right? Who a lot of us know on podcasts and so forth. And that's where he tricked and said, you got to trick your mind away from, the money aspect, but into the abundance of giving. Because if you can switch into the abundance of giving and helping others, then money becomes this thing of, hey, I want the wealth, I want the abundance, the accumulation, not just to have nice houses and cars and all these other material items, but really to have choices and opportunities and time to then help give back and leave a legacy, right? For my kids, for other people, myself, and seeing that improve other people's lives. Because I'd always struggled with watching really wealthy people. You talk about the pain side, like what drives it, where they just take. And you don't see them really impacting the world. And so I'd always gravitated towards people who made a lot of money, but then just had amazing abilities to give back, right? Whether that's an Oprah Winfrey or like this guy, Mr. Beast, that we follow on YouTube. I'm like, that is unbelievable. This guy makes $4 to $7 million a month. He started with 1,200 subscribers, give or take, even less than that. And you watch his trajectory where he was just doing normal videos of like gaming on YouTube, getting few views here and there. And then you watch his progression and where he switched it into, hey, we're just going to do a bunch of fun games and challenges and give a bunch of free shit away. In the minute that happened, and then you got followers and doing this, it literally hockey puck trajectory. Of the give, right? Where he's going into Best Buy, he's putting squares on the ground, covering them up, having people come over. And then he's saying, hey, let's pull this open. And wherever you can fit in this thing in the next 5 minutes, you get. And then people are running around the Best Buy packaging like TVs and stuff and putting them in this big pile, and they're crying all over the place. They're just losing their mind in front of on TV. And it's like, you see that emotionally and people get connected to that emotionally. And then it literally steamrolls itself. And it's the give mentality. The Mark Rober guy, who my son follows as well, where they love him. He's a scientist guy from NASA. Then he went on YouTube, created this YouTube channel, and then he helps young people become engineers and fall in love with it and be passionate about engineering and create all these great products and things and ideas. And then it's all his free thing. And then he creates robots that go pick up trash out of the ocean. right? And puts it on YouTube, and then he teams up with Mr. Beast, and then it's this whole giving aspect over and over and over and over again. And you see how it just steamrolls itself. And then you go to other people that you talk about that just give, and they use their abundance. Maybe they use their popularity. They use their celebrity status and all this wealth they've accumulated, but really is a backdoor method to then give back. And then what happens? The law of attraction in the universe, right? If your intentions are good, the universe gives it right back to you. And then it literally becomes this cycle of help others, right? Abundance and wealth to give, abundance to give. And that, for me, drove me. And then I had a passion for it, right? So when you have passion, it's exciting, and it's not a job. It's not hard. You're like, get up excited every day. You're like, this is really cool. Like, I want this for this.
Yeah. And I feel like it also helps you feel fulfilled when you're giving, because if you're not giving, I don't think that you can necessarily take and buy and feel fulfilled. I think naturally as human beings, we either have children and give to them or have family members and give to them. But definitely I think that is such a key aspect in life to give as much as you possibly can. So I think that's great. And it
finds its way back. It always does.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another reason why I feel like I was attracted to like talking to you, because you have that kind of vibe, I guess.
Yeah. Like, I mean, for me, we're like, oh, you want to own all these apartments. And I said, yeah, I want to own over 10,000 apartments and billions of dollars in real estate, not for the fact of just owning the apartments and having billions of dollars in real estate, but I know that that's going to give me opportunity to then pivot and give back to causes I really care about, right? Whether that's Wounded Warrior Project, right? Tunnels to Towers Foundation, St. Jude Hospital, Rady's Children's Hospital, Boys to Men Foundation for mentoring young men here in San Diego. Like, things that I care about, obviously taking care of my family, of course, children and family and friends and people around me. That'll check box itself.
Right.
But then really, what's your bigger cause?
Right.
How are you really going to impact the world and leave a legacy where people are going to remember you in a way that's good? When they always say it's not as important to be remembered when you walk into a room as it is for you to be remembered for the legacy you leave when you walk out.
Yeah. I love that.
Right?
I love that.
I mean, anybody can walk into a room and you're like, yeah, look at me. But when you walk out and people are like, boo, right?
Douche.
and listen, not to even touch on politics for a minute, but like, let's say, take Trump for a minute, right? Love the policy. People love how he executes. But when he dies on his deathbed, are people going to be like, oh yeah, I really like that guy's, how he handled and how he did things and his personality? And I mean, I don't know.
Yep.
That's for him to decide, and the way he does things. He's a very polarizing human being, executes on certain levels that are amazing and been very successful in his life, but he's burning so many bridges and bulldozing through so many things in that process.
Yeah. Is
it really worth it at the end of the day?
Yeah.
When you get there and you have all the success and you have all those things you can physically attach to, are people really going to sit there and go, wow, like, yeah, that,
if
like,
he would
we are
only
so
tweak
sad.
a few things, if he could have only tweaked just a few
and we'll leave it
things.
at that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's things I really enjoy about him. There's things I'm like, oh God.
Yep. Understandable. So, I want to ask you, so as I kept stalking you and reading your posts and listening to your videos, I ran into something that said that you and your investors and your partner have invested $23 million in real estate year to date, and you have a goal of $2 billion in the next 10 years. So for me, I'm like, that is incredible. And that's like another, I'm like, I hit the jackpot, baby. That's my mentor. Anyways, so I'm just curious how you feel about it. I'm curious how you feel about it, because let's tell the audience, obviously you started off with one condo and now you're here with a goal of $2 billion in the next 10 years. I mean, can you kind of walk us through that?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in San Diego, kind of a third generation son of a developer builder here locally in San Diego. Learned from my grandmother and him. Grew up through it, went to school, came back home, got into the title insurance business in the very beginning because I was like, hey, Dad, I don't need help. I want to do it on my own, create my own success, and then see what happens later. Then went back to school, grad school, got all the grad school, master's degrees, all that other stuff, which was great. Came out, financial crisis hits. Walk through that with my dad's companies. His companies consolidate. I become an asset manager for a lot of the major banks at that time, handling all the REOs nationwide for them, which was great. But then it moved into short sales. I had my broker's license. So I said, hey, let's become a broker and help a lot of the people with short sales going through really tough financial times. Did an enormous amount of them. And then it moved into the traditional real estate, as we've all been accustomed to since really 2012. But always with the caveat of getting back into the development, the multifamily, the rental income producing assets.
Okay.
And this was like 2008, I guess, when it really initially started. And I'm sitting there at a Tom Ferry conference in Anaheim, California. Tom Ferry comes out and he's like, rah, rah, yeah, well, I get everybody rah, rah. And he's like, hey, who here in the audience? All the realtors, right? 5,000 of us. He's like, who here wants to own rental income property? And like all the realtors are like, wow, woo, right? All excited. Yeah, rah, rah. And then he's like, well, who here can financially afford rental income property? And this is 2008.
Crickets.
Right? Right? And all the hands go down. And then he says, you're missing the entire secret. He says, you as a realtor don't have to have a single dime to invest in real estate. I said, you just need to have a friend that has the money to invest in real estate. And at that moment, Tom Ferry doesn't realize this, but he essentially made me a multimillionaire.
Wow.
Because the light bulb goes off, right? And I'm sitting there going, so I don't I'm like getting my butt kicked financially right now. I can't sign on loans. I don't have the capital, but who do I know that's not in real estate, who I can bring value to, and they can bring value through the capital and the loan signing where we can go out, team up, and start buying properties. And light bulb went off with Christopher Poli. Approached him. We talked about multifamily and investing. And so it started with a $100,000 condo in Murrieta, California, right in the midst of the financial crisis. We turned that 100,000 into 300-something thousand. And then from there, we went into a single family home and then 2 to 4 unit space. And we've been doing that for almost 8 years. And then got into the 5 to 10 unit stuff. And then realized, hey, like we want to grow and scale, but we need to do this out of state because locally in San Diego and California, it's just a tough market to really make money in. So how do we do this out of state? And that kind of triggered the out of state stuff.
Okay.
So now you're out of state. Now it's a whole different ball game. And how do you manage that? How do you create that? How do you trigger that?
Right. Well, hold on. Reverse on Christopher Poli. Were you guys really close friends, or you just kind of knew each other somewhat?
We knew each other pretty well. We went to grad school. I'd met him in the back of grad school at University of San Diego. We spent some time in Spain together with the Asade Business School over there. So we knew each other. We had friends. I mean, we were close at that time. No, but we were close enough.
Okay.
And we shared the same mindset where we could add value to each other. And it's always that kind of, hey, let's give and give and give and give, and then not sit here and like pick apart who's doing what. And you're doing this much and I did this much, and making sure that we're complementary.
Right.
And we can't both do what the other can do, because then you're not adding value.
Okay.
You have to find something where there's, hey, like they can't do what I can do. I can't do what they can do. There has to be a benefit there. So that way there's added value.
Okay. And so I want to know the process of when you decided to go with the condo in Murrieta County.
It's all we could afford.
It's okay. So that was it. That was literally.
Well, no, I saw the cash on cash return, right? I'm looking at it saying, okay, I can buy it for X. It rents for X. Our mortgage payments are X. We're going to positive cash flow at X amount. That's like a 13% cash on cash return. I'm like, that's good anywhere I know. And it was exactly, it ended up being more than that, actually.
Wow.
Right. And then, like I said, that was just on the cash on cash side. And then, of course, we sell it and you get a profit. So you combine the cash flow with the profit. I mean, I think we averaged over 27% annualized return on that investment.
And how long did he hold it for?
5 years.
Okay.
I think 2015 is when we sold it.
Okay. Nice. Okay. And so, did you guys know you were going to sell it once you purchased it, or was it kind of
you always have an exit, right?
Okay.
Typically a 3 to 5 year hold on most of these investments. Some people go longer than that. It's totally fine. It's just what's your business plan? How are you trying to scale and grow? You get to a point where you run out of your own money, right? So that's when you start bringing in investors.
Okay.
Right. When you run out of your own money, you're like, oh, okay, well, we've used all of our own capital. So how do we start freeing that up? How do we start bringing in other people? We clearly know what we're doing. We're having success. We can show the track record for it. And how do we scale and begin to grow ultimately to where we want to go? And that is the bigger stuff.
Okay. So now you're at a point where you're going out of state. How did you pick the state? What was your first, did you find an agent to look at properties out of state? Did you decide, okay, this is the state that I want to do it in because it has low property taxes? It's a red state, blue state. What is it?
Yeah, well, it started in 2018. That was kind of the trigger point. I'm like, okay, we need to do this, but I don't know how to even start. So I'd met up with another mutual friend of ours, Jason Graves, who's a really good guy. And he was going to a syndication conference out in Boston, Massachusetts, David Lindahl conference. And there's going to be thousands of other potential investors, brokers, money people, connectors, et cetera, at this conference. So I said, okay, it's time to go. We're going to make this happen. So I flew out there with him and met another broker out there, Carrie Stronyak, who happened to live in Kansas City, Missouri.
Okay.
We looked at different markets, Atlanta, so forth, and trying to identify, okay, where's the first one we ultimately want to go into and do. And I'm like, Kansas City? Like, you don't think Kansas City, Missouri, and you're like, yeah, that looks vibrant, right? But it's what you don't know, you don't know. And then Carrie was like, listen, man, don't look at it like that. We have the Kansas City Chiefs. We're Super Bowl champions. No. Come out and check us out. So I was like, okay, we're going to do this. So I went into Kansas City and I landed and I'm driving through the main town. And I literally felt like I was watching San Diego, California in 2003, 4, 5 with all the cranes up in downtown, ballparks going up and all just things are going. I'm like, oh my God. Like, and we're kind of in the beginning, like we need to get in here now. We're actually probably late. Like, let's go. And we're driving through, they have Path of Progress, light rail systems, all the redevelopment, all the Fortune 500 companies, the dynamics of university systems. You have all these kind of moving parts that are ripe for growth, job growth, populations, et cetera. So first thing I said, okay, let's go find some deals here, here, and here, based on what I'm seeing. And it was probably from that point, 3 to 6 months after that, after we laid all the groundwork, you get in there, you set up the infrastructure, property management companies, construction crews, renovations, brokers, know the good areas, bad areas, drive the neighborhoods, know the markets, the caps, the rents, where things are going. You got to know all this really detailed information to know the market. You got to know the market in detail. Grant Cardone talks about this all the time. You've got to know it like you know your spouse. Hopefully you know your spouse well, but you got to know it inside and out, right? And you got to, because that's the only way you're going to be able to get in deep to know whether it's a good opportunity or not. And drive opportunities, drive neighborhoods, morning, noon, night, afternoons. So I spent time there doing that. So that way, within 3 to 6 months, when deals start flowing across our table, now we can strike because we have all the infrastructure set up, the logistics, the operations, the legal, the accounting, all that stuff in place. So now it's just operate and execute.
Okay.
And that started. We bought a 27 unit and then a 31 unit.
It was a 27 right after the one condo?
No, after 4 unit properties. And we had 5 to 10 units. So we kind of graduated 1 unit or for a condo, 2 to 4, 5 to 10, 20 to 50.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And so where are you at now?
Now we're in the 100 unit space.
Wow.
So because I realized as you go through this and you learn the economies of scale in this multifamily business really start around 90 units where you can have on-site property management at the property that are controlling, focused on that asset specifically. Okay. And then you have fixed costs that doesn't matter whether it's a 20 unit building or a 100 unit building, there's fixed costs involved in that acquisition and disposition of the property, selling it or buying it. Okay. That doesn't matter whether it's 20 units or 100 units, you're going to have some fixed costs that are going to be the same or very similar. Okay. So you need economies of scale, but you have to graduate and progressively go through the unit count size. Okay. And I know some people say, go big, and Grant Cardone, go big. But even Grant Cardone started with a single family home in Houston. Yeah. Then he came out to San Diego and did some stuff here locally, 27 unit, 48 unit, some other things out here. And then he graduated into it as well. Even though he would have tried to go big in the beginning, it's going to be really difficult for you to do that and people to believe in you. You don't have a track record. There's no money. I mean, it's just really hard. Right. You're going to basically take it in the shorts and get nothing to try and do that. So you might as well learn a little bit.
Yeah. So you were telling me something the other day about property management companies, and you pretty much were like, just get it through your head that they're all not going to be very good. So you said it's more so you managing the managers. Yeah.
Yeah, look, most property management companies suck.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be straight up, because they're spread too thin. The only way they make any money is through volume. And when they do that, they don't actually put in proper, escalation plans to bring in, certain amount of people as needed to grow. Mm-hmm. So off-site management, meaning they're not on site on your property every day. It's off-site and they're just managing it from afar. They tend to be, not as good as the ones where they're dedicated to the property. They're on site. You have a leasing staff. You have people in place where you can actually control the control, right? And manage the manager. So as an asset manager like myself, we're managing the manager on site. Tougher to do that when they're off site. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, like, hey, they all suck. I'm just saying it's really hard for them to worry about your money and worry about your property at the level it needs to be worried about when they're having to manage and spread themselves so thin across tons of assets.
Right.
There's no way they can have eyeballs on that thing the way that it really needs to execute.
Right.
So that's why when you bring the economies of scale in place and go to 90 plus units, they're on site. They're there every day. I just picked up the phone this morning, was talking to our people in Texas on site at the buildings. What's going on? How the renovation's going? Show me pictures, videos, photos. Like, they're there. If something goes wrong, they're there every day, 9 to 5, boom.
Right.
Whereas when the offsite happens, they're not, right? They have to go run to the property, get a work order, get a phone call. It's not as efficient.
Well, and I sometimes I feel like it's super tempting to go straight into larger properties because you're like, oh, well, this is where the money's at. Why don't we just go big right away? But at the same time, it's super important to start from, just maybe one condo to then 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, because you yourself need to understand how to manage those properties. Because if you don't, if then you go big and you're now just trying to manage the managers, well, what are you looking for?
You don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And it's okay to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes and kind of fail through, but you don't want to be making mistakes with a big zeros on it. That affects millions of dollars and other investors' money, where your ass is on the line. And now you need to go back and say, oh, hey, investor group, I'm a dumb shit. I made a mistake. It's all my fault. But hey, let's just keep going, right? Because you're going to make that mistake. And you need to have proper mentors going through this process, because you're going to learn, you're going to fail through. I've made plenty of mistakes, but they were mistakes that had smaller zeros on them.
Right.
Where I could recover from them and not destroy myself or our reputation or what we're doing, and then just power through it and actually make it better on the upside.
Right.
And through that learning, so I don't make the same mistake twice. Right. And this could be everything from hiring subcontractors to how you hire your managers to how you look at your rent rolls, how you underwrite a deal, how do you know the market? I mean, there's just nuance after nuance after nuance. And you will never know that stuff until you go through that stuff.
Right.
Or you live vicariously through a mentor where you're literally attached to their hip every day and you watch them go through that crap.
Right.
So
that's my plan with you, my dear.
All right. No, and I love, and if I could be a mentor, I never thought of myself in that capacity, but as you obviously have some success and do better, then people are going to gravitate towards that. And I love being able to share that knowledge and share it free.
Yeah.
Right. The one thing I love about Grant Cardone is he has this very simple formula. And and his marketing guys talk about it all the time. It's the GW plus, it's the, what is it? Good worth or good wealth, times an offer, freebies equals opportunity. And so he just freely gives information a lot, right? Through YouTube and online and connections. And that's just free information that you can take and process and use. And then he presents free offers, right? Take my free classes, do this free stuff, come to a free seminar, come to this information. Sure. With the opportunity that, hey, if he does frequency with that, then people see this is the guy. And then, yeah, sure, you can buy his courses.
Right.
But he's not going at it, buy my course first. Here's my free information.
Right.
Here's my good worth, my goodwill.
Right.
Multiply that times a freebie offer, and frequency creates the money effect.
Yep.
Right. And just give. It's the abundance to give. So we want to interview Grant Cardone. Can we get him on the show? He'd be our first guest. We don't have any guests. No, but I don't know Grant Cardone. I ran into him recently at a conference. I know him through some other people that are in the industry and are co-GPs and stuff that have dealt with him and stuff. So I would love not to interview him about success, but to interview him about abundance to give.
Yeah.
Because I know he's got foundations and causes and things that he really loves.
Yep.
And I would love to interview him about that and dive a few layers deep with him and his daughters and his wife, Elena, and kind of dig into that side of it.
Yeah.
Because I know that the abundance to give and the planes and the helicopters and all that stuff he has is great, but he's really doing it because he's giving a lot back. People just don't see that as much, right? Because they're seeing the helicopters and the planes and the trains and the automobiles.
Yeah. I love Grant Cardone. I mean, the way he is with his wife and his kids, and just, I mean, how he teaches his kids. I mean, for me,
he's got a good story. He's got a good story, and you can hate on how ostentatious he is, but you can't hate the game, man. The guy is executed and come from a basic background in Louisiana, and executed to where he's at today. And you could say, hey, look, I don't like the way he is all flamboyant. Okay, but can you do that?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. So I'm not going to say anything about it. It's not my style, but that's okay.
Yeah. Everybody's got a different way. All right. So out of all the states, how many states have you invested in?
We're in 3 states physically invested, with 3 others that are probably coming to fruition this year in 2022.
Okay. So since you have experience in different states, have you found one that is maybe your favorite and one that is your least favorite? I know that right now, after the pandemic and everything happened, I feel like states that are not as landlord friendly are really obviously getting hit.
Sure.
Was that magnified before the pandemic, or is I feel like now that's everybody talks about don't invest in blue state, red state, or whatever it is. So
yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, but we invest in purple or red states.
Okay.
And it's not because I'm sitting there going, oh, yeah. I mean, I'm a Joe Rogan libertarian, so I could care. I think they all suck. I think Republicans suck. I think Democrats suck. They all suck in my book. They're not helping us citizens anymore. So I look at it in terms of where's the business climate? Where's the fair-minded, hey, I want tenants protected. I want landlords protected. I want it fair. Just a level playing field. And unfortunately, in places like California, in New York, and some other, highly progressive states, they've just gone so overboard with the protection that it's like, and where's the benefit to stay here in your state, in our state? Why don't I just bend over? I mean, it's like you make 100%. I mean, you literally take all benefit of hanging out in this beautiful state that's a vibrant place away. Like, why would we put money here when you're literally going to bend me over sideways and you're completely unfair? Just make it fair and we'll stay.
Yeah.
Just make it fair. I'm not asking for fair. So, anyhow, purple or red.
Okay.
Simply because the business climate, the mindset in those states is fair climate for tenants and landlords.
Okay.
And that's all I ask for.
Okay. So which one has been your favorite by far that you've invested in?
Surprising. I mean, Missouri's been amazing. Kansas City. I mean, what a great city that is. I had no idea. And I've learned a lot being there. Obviously, you got Texas. So we have our second headquarters out there outside of Austin now. And, Texas is just, the opportunity in that state, when you fly in there, you feel it, you meet with people, you talk to people. It's just, you feel the energy.
Yeah.
Like, America, we're here. We want to help everybody. Let's have a good time. Let's benefit everybody. Everybody wins. Let's be reasonable, rational, logical. We're not cray cray. Like, let's do it. Go America, go fight, win. And that's what's awesome about it. Oklahoma, amazing state, Oklahoma City. Arizona's fabulous, primarily Tucson. And then we're looking into other states like Alabama, Arkansas, and then maybe Florida.
Nice. Okay. So do we want to share your least favorite state, or should we not state bash?
Well, all I could tell you would be, unfortunately, it's California right now, but that's just because of the climate and what's going on with, it's just not fair. It's not right. It's not fair. It's overbearing and they don't care. So, okay.
But you live here.
I do.
What, do you see yourself moving out of California ever?
I'll definitely have a second home out of California.
Okay.
I'm born and raised here in San Diego, so it's so hard. I love this city, love this town, but it's becoming increasingly challenging to be here. Obviously, all my family's here, so that's the pull. I could tell you, if family wasn't here, if family wasn't here and I didn't have close friends here, I'd have a second home here.
Yeah.
And a primary elsewhere.
Okay.
But for now, it's probably going to be primary here, secondary elsewhere.
Okay. Yeah. Very nice. Very, very nice. So, just the other day, I asked you, I'm obviously looking to invest this year.
And let's preface this with everybody. So Maricruz, she's a realtor. She loves the investment side. She didn't just want to do the transactions.
Exactly.
You wanted to be a realtor investor.
Right.
And that was kind of the main drive when we initially connected.
Right.
You say, hey, you're doing it. You're making that transition from just the everyday hamster wheel of real estate sales into helping others, sure, but investing for yourself.
Yeah.
And that was like the passion drive for you.
Right.
And so that's kind of what connected us. And that's why I've been kind of helping you get to that first property. I always tell people it's about that first one.
Yeah.
Don't think too big about it. Just literally focus and put your blinders on for the first property that you own yourself or in conjunction with a partner.
Right. Right. It's so funny too, because every Monday when we'd meet at Zoom, I'd be like, oh my God, he's going to be so upset with me because I made the decision last year that I would stop prospecting and just work with whatever fell in my lap.
Sure.
Because I was just chasing and I felt like I wanted to just like read and focus about, investing. So for me, other people could do it simultaneously. I can't. So we'd meet up in Zoom and I'd be like, well, shit, what am I going to say? I don't have anybody. I'm
not selling any freaking houses.
I'm sorry. And I even told Kevin one time, I was like, oh my God, I feel like Justin is going to kick me off the team.
She's fired. She sold like...
No, I'm serious. And then I would just think, I'm like, why is he putting up with me? But anyways, so you started to, you said one thing to me. It was, what was it? You said, Maricruz, don't focus on the money, focus on the state where you want to buy the property.
Sure.
And that was, I feel like you said that to me like 2 months ago. And I don't know what that did to me, but I was like, okay. And so I literally that's what I started doing. I started reading about, what state I wanted to go in, what kind of investment property I wanted to do. Was it Airbnb, a vacation rental, all of these things. So, so basically now I'm kind of at that point where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to invest in California either. I feel like it's just not, you can get so much more in different areas that are,
Unfortunately, I wish that weren't the case.
Yeah.
I would love nothing more than to continue to invest in California.
Right.
I love this state. Love the city. But you sit here and you make it so draconian to do anything. At some point, people go, eh.
Yeah. Yeah. But also it's not like back in the day where you need to buy a investment property like in your backyard so that you can drive by it every single day. Technology's gone so far that it's just kind of like, okay, find the state and then work out everything else just as you did.
Sure.
So that's where I'm kind of at with everything. And my question to you the other day was, how long should I hold it? Do I just hold it forever? Do I sell? And you said,
not hold it forever.
You said buy 3, sell 1. Okay. So can you explain?
Yeah. So you want to be buying 3 properties, selling 1, buying 3, selling 1. So if you have 3 properties you own, you need to sell 1 of them and buy. So that way you're always accumulating, right? Portfolio count, but also disposing for cash.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
So that way you're creating capital events in line with acquisitions. And you're always accumulating and having more acquisitions than dispositions. But those, when you dispose or sell a property, you're going to get hopefully a chunk of change, some profits from that, that then you can then reposition into other assets. So you're keep continuing that cash, run on it, but also accumulating as well.
Okay. What would you tell somebody that is just now starting to invest and doesn't necessarily have the funds, doesn't have the proper circle in place, has never networked in their life, but they just know they want to invest? What advice would you give them?
Well, I would ask them first, say, what's your value to a partnership? Meaning, if I can't go buy a property myself today, so I want to invest, great, okay. So you want to go buy a rental income property, awesome. Can you do it yourself? No, I can't. So, okay. So you need somebody else to help you acquire it, either the capital, the down payment, and sign on the loan for you. Awesome. So now, do you bring value in terms of a real estate license, property management experience? Can you find the deals? Can you underwrite the deals? Can you run the company? Can you run the operations? Can you do all the logistics? Can you do all the back end? Can you do where's your value? Because if the answer to all those is I can't do any of this stuff, then you better figure out either you have the money or you have the know-how. But if you don't have either, congratulations, you're going to do nothing. right? So you have to figure out which side of you play. Maybe you're lucky enough to play both. Maybe you have the capital and sign the loans and you have all the knowledge. Boom. I mean, now you don't need anybody. Go fight, win.
Yeah.
But if you don't, and let's say you have the ability because you're real estate licensed and you have some property management experience and you have all this background, great. So you're bringing value to the partnership. They're bringing the capital. There's a marriage there that makes sense. And away you go. Okay. So that's how you do that first one. If you don't have the money, you need to partner with somebody who does. If you have the knowledge, and vice versa, if you have the money and you don't have the knowledge, great. You need to go find somebody that's in real estate that has that expertise in the background. Partner up with them so they can go bird dog and hunt the deals and find the deals for you and bring them together, run the operations, run the company, run everything. And you just basically passing money and signing a loan. And then you get 50% of it, they get 50% of it, and boom, away you go.
Right. And I think it's important to also say, let's just say you're somebody that's in that situation where they have the money, and say you want to find the realtor to help you out, to help you find the deals.
Yep.
It's also important to know that every single real estate agent has connections in different states, not just the state they work in. So it's really important to find that connection with that realtor that you feel comfortable with, and that you also feel comfortable, working with whoever they decide to go with.
Because think about how we went out of state, right? It started with a syndication conference in Boston, Massachusetts, of which that was through a friend, Jason Graves, who then connected us with Carrie Stronyak in Kansas City, Missouri, who's a broker. He's a realtor. Because I didn't know that market. But then I went in there and flew in there and drove around with them, and we got to know the neighborhoods, the areas, where's the growth, what's happening, where's the redevelopment, where's the jobs, who are the employers, like all those dynamics. Yeah. Right? Population, jobs. Who are the main companies? Where's the education system? How many university systems are here? Like all those dynamics, right? Yeah. So this is a vibrant, dynamic market. It's not dependent on one employer, and those guys go bye-bye, and so goes population, jobs, everything with it. So it's dynamic. We typically will stay in the top 75 MSAs. And what I mean by MSA, that's a market something.
Oh.
I think you just stumped me. The lenders know what this is. When you say top 70, I should figure that out. Google it. MSAs, but you want top 75 MSAs. The lenders know, and the reason why is because when you go to get your loan on these properties, they know the good markets, bad markets. They've done they've spent millions with back-end analysts knowing what are the good markets, bad markets, why, here we go. So then you're going to get better loan terms, rate terms, opportunities if you stick within those and not out in the middle of literally, nowhere.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very, very good. Looking back at your journey this far, you've obviously done a lot of really great things. You've come from one condo apartment, which is condo, to now 23 million. And going to 2 billion in the next 10 years. What is the one thing that you're most grateful for? Like in your journey, what did you learn? What happened or what happened or didn't happen that you're grateful for having that understanding of today? Does that make sense?
I'm grateful, honestly, for the opportunity that my dad gave to me to get properly educated and mentored. Because I always say the only thing keeping anyone from where they're at and where they want to go, regardless of your starting point in life, is proper education and proper mentorship. Right? So if you look at kind of our society in general, and you have different starting points. Everybody has a different starting point, and you can't control it. You can't control where your parents bring you into this world. Whether you were born into the hood or you're born into an affluent society, you have no control over that. But you do control what you do with it once you're there. Now, the biggest thing behind that is education and mentorship, because you don't know what you don't know, right? A child growing up in a bad environment, in maybe a bad neighborhood, in a bad area, doesn't know what they don't know. They don't know that there's better opportunities out there if they don't have people around them coaching, teaching, mentoring, educating them.
Oh, my gosh. You're speaking my language.
You don't have to join the gang. Yeah. Right? You don't have to do this. You don't have to do that. And I was talking to a gentleman the other day who comes out of Chicago, joined gangs, was in the gangs, bad environments, right? And you think, hey, this gentleman could totally fall victim to all of what's going on there. And he luckily was surrounded by a couple people that mentored and educated him properly to say no. Like he got into the Navy, did some other things and like said, oh, like there's something bigger and better here. And had the wherewithal to like pay attention to that. So that way now he's educated and mentored and can take himself out of that situation. Different starting point than all of us, right? He had a worse starting point than me. Some people have a better starting point than me and vice versa. We can't control that. But what you can control is you have to get educated and mentored. So that way you know what you don't know and you see that there's opportunity outside of maybe your bad situation you're in. That's the hardest part, is that leap outside of like that bubble of like, my life sucks. I'm brought up by bad parents. I'm in a bad environment. I'm in a bad neighborhood. I'm being brought up by gang members and other things in these bad environments. And oh my gosh, like all these negatives. But unless you can say, listen, education and mentorship, and that can come from a parent, it can come from a relative, it can come from a professional coach, a college coach, high school coach, whatever it is, to come in and wrap your arms around a child and make sure that they have two parental figures in one way, shape, or form. That's help guiding them and maybe giving them some tips, tricks, ways through things. To say, listen, no, do this, mentorship, education. There's a bigger opportunity here for you. Just follow it, right, to get them out. And that's where you see people that come from really bad environments and they go from zero to hero. And you look it back and you follow their story. I can guarantee you there's a point and track in their life where they had a mentor or some educational or some moment in time that triggered them to say, okay, I'm going to take this path, not that one. I'm going to get out of the gang. I'm going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to fall victim to my parents and what they did here and all this other stuff. And I'm going to take this track, not that one. There was a moment where that shifted for a couple. And that education mentor. So I'm very thankful for that, because that gave me the understanding and the education behind it that it's really just here. And it's the 7 inches between your ears that are keeping you from where you're at and where you want to go. Right. And it's very easy for us to self-sabotage. We tell ourselves amazing stories. Our brains are a very scary place.
Oh, don't.
It's a very scary place, right? We find all kinds of ways to tell ourselves bullshit. Excuse my language, as to why we can and can't do something. But really, the only thing stopping you is the 7 inches as to how are you going to limit yourself. I was limiting myself through the money mindset. Right? I was saying that money does bad things, money does bad things, money does bad things. So therefore, I shouldn't accumulate it. I shouldn't have it. I shouldn't. But the minute I said, no, money can do good things. Here's how. I can accumulate wealth in abundance, which is what I want to do, but for the purpose of giving back and helping others. And once I triggered that for myself, then it's like, I'm not just doing this for me. I'm not doing it to have all the Ferraris and Lambos and houses and cars. Like, that's okay, great. Stuff's nice, but I want to do it so that way I can really leave an impact on the world and help others. And I don't know exactly how it's going to go down. I just know it's going down.
Oh my God. Literally, I'm like sitting here like getting emotional.
Why?
I'm not joking you. The other day, I don't know what video I think it was just because I was like, I just like keep like learning about you. And there was one video that it's kind of silly, but I literally cried.
Which one was that? Was I preaching?
I don't know. I don't remember which one it was, but
100? No.
I don't remember. I watched so many of them, but I just like, I'm just, and it's funny because me and you don't hang out. We just do our Zoom calls every Monday, but like, I'm just so grateful that like, I don't know. I just like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know why he's putting up with me. And
you're horrible, like, Maricruz.
No, I'm serious, but I feel like I have direction.
So this is my abundance to give. And you're not allowed to cry at the first podcast.
I know.
Good job. See, she's on. This is how we get millions of subscribers. Just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
On cue and cry and go.
Yeah. So a couple years ago, I joined the Peers Network here in San Diego, and a group of entrepreneurs, men and women that are influential and have the ability to make an impact. And that was really huge because now going into the second year with them, and they will team up with a specific charity that they'll align with every year. And we've gotten great opportunities to help people and truly see it happen, like thousands of dollars every year, but then bringing people together for it. Yeah, you got to follow your passion. So for me, like we are huge because of my background with the military, my family, Christopher Poley being a Marine. So the military is a huge component to what we do and we support. So Tunnels to Towers, amazing organization nationally to support. a Wounded Warrior project, Wounded Warrior homes here locally in San Diego. And we help get back to the Navy SEALs and transitioning them from their Navy SEAL life into like the human life and the real life. And it's a tough transition for these guys that have been these macho people for years. And now all of a sudden they got to become citizens. It's tough. So there's a process for them on that. And then we deal with the kids, right? St. Jude's Hospital, right? We have Rady Children's Hospital locally in San Diego. We have the Boys to Men mentoring and education, where they actually take, middle school kids who are still malleable and really mentor them. This is this moment where I'm talking about. They came up from bad environments. They just need education and mentorship, right? To like help make sure that they take the right fork and not the bad fork, because they maybe had different starting points, but we want to try and control the end game. And we can do that through mentor and education and hopefully get them on the right track. So that's Boys to Men locally here in San Diego is amazing. So these things all have passion because I can see it and I know we can make an impact. And then you watch it 10 years later and you see, oh my gosh, like this kid or person or whatever it was. And now look at what they're doing. So, yeah. How about you? What about you and your foundations and things? So let's finish on this. It's 3 years from now. Maricruz owns a couple pieces of real estate.
Okay.
She's investing, growing, doing things. She's doing a little bit of real estate. You got your solar stuff. You got the resident, and then you got the investment properties. So now you have some money to get back and do things that impact people. And with this podcast, because we can do a lot of really good things with this. Where would you see this going? Number one, the podcast. That's question one. Number two, once you have some wealth to then reposition out there to help others, what maybe one or two charities would you do that with?
Sure. So where do I see this podcast going? I mean, I definitely feel like it's going to be a good opportunity to kind of just talk and connect with a lot of people in the area that, they focus on giving and that are successful, and they do a lot of things for the community that, we can obviously help as well.
We want to highlight those stories. Like, because one thing we talked about is not just talking about giving or showing a check go across the table, but getting it on video, showing how it physically, because 75% of the human population is visual. And if you can get people to see the impact,
right,
versus just hear about the impact.
Well, the impact on the world, but themselves as well. You don't know where, like you were saying, you don't know where people come from.
Right.
So being able to speak with these people that are obviously at a specific level and, showing people where they came from in order for them to feel inspired to do the same.
Right.
And I feel like that is kind of what we're going for, along with the giving with charities. As far as where I see myself in the next 3 years, after I have my investment properties and everything, I was actually thinking about this last night, because I thought this might be a question you might ask me. But it makes me, ew, why do I keep getting teared up?
We got her emo. Go ahead.
I grew up in not the greatest environment.
Sure.
And when you grow up that way, it's you're not able to be a kid. You're always thinking about worry or sadness, and you're not able to focus on the things that you should focus on.
Sure.
Sorry, as a kid. Okay. And it sets you back in so many ways, as far as growth goes. And so my passion or dream would be to be able to focus on that now that I'm older and I see things from a different perspective, but show that you can come from one place and be, on the other side in this like amazing life that you would have never dreamt possible. So,
and it's hard. It's hard, as we spoke earlier, when you have a different starting point, right, and you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And that's why it's so critical that some people are lucky enough where they kind of see it for themselves and find it for themselves.
Right.
Because they're intuitive enough or paying attention, and they know what they know they don't like is where they're at.
Right.
The question is, some people can kind of meander and figure it out where they want to go.
Yeah.
And they just have the the motivation and the drive interior to do that.
Right.
God bless them because not a lot of people have that.
Yes.
Now, for the kids that don't have that and they just need some guidance, some mentorship, and some education and knowledge to say, okay, I'm here. Yeah, I'm doing bad things and getting into trouble and doing all these things, or I had a bad environment or whatever it is. But here is this path if I choose it.
Right.
And then it becomes a fork in the road moment.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And it's hard, but that's where you see people go from zero to hero.
Mm-hmm.
And they have those moments, or they go from hero to zero. Because we've seen plenty of kids that grew up in amazing environments and were gifted with silver spoons. And they have their hero to zeros.
Yep.
Right? Where they're given everything, but they weren't mentored or educated correctly. So what happens, right? They get off on tangents and their maybe parents aren't present or around them or mentors, whatever it is.
Yep.
Right? We see this happen celebrities all the time.
Right.
Sometimes with sports athletes, they get a lot of money, a lot of things. They're all around this, all their stuff, but they don't have people guiding them in a certain way. So boom, implosion. Because they haven't, it's just, you can go from hero to zero too. Happens to a lot of people.
Yeah. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of trial. When you don't have a mentor or somebody that sees, what talents you have and they're not pointing it out. And, not that my parents were horrible. They weren't. They just, they come from, they're from Mexico, I'm first generation. So they just were, raised differently and that's a whole nother story. But, it's important to have that mentor in order for you to have a direction, because otherwise you go through, you're sitting alone with all of your problems and you get into that mental state. And then you kind of, as you're kind of trying to dig out of that mindset, you're doing a lot of trial and errors, and it's really hard to continue being resilient when you don't have somebody giving you direction.
So I did a video recently, like how to get out of a rut.
I saw that.
Right. Because we all get into ruts all the time, all the time. I'd probably do 3 a week. Right. So I figured out, okay, how do I deal with this mentally so I don't stay in the rut? And for me, it's, I'll usually have 2 or 3 songs on Spotify that are like inspirational songs that kick me and change the energy. Because that's usually what does it. It's a matter of just energy in that moment of like tweaking the energy so that your mind starts going elsewhere and stops focusing on the negative. So having 2 or 3 pieces of music you can literally pop in. It's amazing how emotion of music will change your person immediately. Yeah. We all can hear a song. Yeah. And immediately like the emotion changes in you, right? And your energy changes. So 2 or 3 songs where that does it to you every single time. Have them on little lists that says special list or whatever. Play those. Number 2, there's things I follow on YouTube, the Motivational Hub. And there's a handful of videos on there. There's no way you can't watch those videos and be like, oh, this is fucking amazing. Yeah, gung-ho, rah, rah, rah. So those 2 things will always get you out. For me, everybody has their own way, but music, hands down, will help you. And then having some maybe quick little motivational video you can look at real quick.
Right.
So Maricruz, how can someone find you? Because I'm sure they're going to see this and be like, who is that girl?
Who's that girl crying over there? Let me be her hero. Just kidding. You can find me on Instagram at maricruzsanchez.realty. You can find me on Facebook, Maricruz Sanchez. And that's pretty much it for right now. I'll work on more platforms as we.
I like it. You want to have a little bit of conspicuousness, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You don't want to make it too easy to find you. Yeah, we're really excited. So next podcast we're going to have on a guest. We are lining that up now. And that'll be the first really chance to interview somebody about their success, tips, tricks, how they've done it, their 0 to hero journey. But most importantly is diving a few layers deep as to what inspires them, what efforts are they giving to, how are they helping people, leaving an impact, how are they using their abundance success to do that, how has giving translated into abundant success for them, right? And kind of been that cycle. And then have a fun little challenge at the end. We'll figure out the game where we can make everybody look stupid and funny and give back a bunch of money and time and volunteering and help everybody out. That's ultimately the goal. And if we're ever lucky enough to where we get big enough to have Mr. Beast or Mark Rober or some other big people that see this and like, yeah, it's a great cause. I would love my kids, Mr. Beast, if you're watching this, my kids would love to meet you, as every kid does. Mark Rober, son loves you. He's kind of a quasi nerd engineer guy and he loves your stuff. So keep doing what you're doing. And if we can interview you at some point, even if it's on Zoom for 5 minutes, I may even pay you.
That would be great. Actually,
we will pay you. We will pay any charity you want or any cause $1,000 to get on. That's all I have. I don't have that much to give you. But $1,000 to interview Mark Rober or Mr. Beast on this at some point. And we will get back to a charity cause. We'll do a challenge. We'll do stupid stuff, whatever you want.
Yeah. I got brownie points actually this past Christmas because I was with my nieces and I said, do you guys watch Mr. Beast? And they're like, Nina, you watch Mr. Beast? And I was like, yeah, duh, obviously.
And people are listening like, Mr. Beast, and they're all like on YouTube. Yeah, the guy, it's unbelievable. And there's many other folks like him, but not like him. So he's definitely unique, and there's a few others. So
yeah.
So this is a good little first.
Yeah.
Good job. Well, we're figuring things out. This is the first, we're newbies a little bit to this, but I think if you come at it with a purpose and a cause and a good intentions behind it and allow the universe to do what it's going to do.
100%. So happy to be doing this with you, mister.
So we are signing off on the first podcast, Abundance to Give. Thank you so much. And we will see you next time. Peace out.
Bye-bye.